I think there could be, and by nuclear, I'm using a metaphor here, a nuclear card that China could use vis-a-vis gold, but also that the US could use vis-a-vis treasuries. Either of them would destroy the integrity of the US dollar and the whole fiat currency system that we have. Maybe that's why China has been buying so much gold. And talking about gold right now, that's one of the cards, the nuclear cards that China has, is to reveal to the world how much gold it actually has.
In a world increasingly shaped by unprecedented levels of money printing, a gold-backed currency would carry significant credibility. China, aiming to position the yuan as the dominant global reserve currency, holds extensive gold reserves that could strengthen this move. Official records from the People's Bank of China state that the country possesses around 2,290 tons of gold. However, this figure has been questioned by analysts such as Mario Innecco, who suggests that the true reserves could be much higher. Given China's status as the world's leading gold producer and its policy of not exporting domestically mined gold, some estimates indicate that its gold holdings may exceed 30,000 tons. This discrepancy points to a potential strategic shift, with China positioning itself for greater monetary sovereignty in the global financial system. The implications of China revealing the full scale of its gold holdings would be profound. Such an announcement could significantly undermine the US dollar's status as the world's primary reserve currency. While the dollar currently enjoys global trust, it is largely upheld by perception and confidence, not tangible assets. Gold, on the other hand, is a universally recognized store of value with no counterparty risk. If China were to disclose that it holds considerably more gold than previously disclosed, it would send a clear message about its readiness to challenge the current global financial order. Doing so would encourage other nations and investors to reduce their reliance on the US dollar and shift towards gold and other hard assets, intensifying the global de-dollarization trend. The potential revelation of China's gold reserves poses a serious threat to the United States. In response, Washington could contemplate retaliatory measures, such as freezing China's U.S. Treasury holdings, which are largely stored at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. While this may offer temporary leverage, it would have far-reaching and lasting consequences. Freezing these assets could severely damage global confidence in the U.S. financial system, potentially prompting other foreign holders of treasuries to reconsider their exposure to dollar-denominated assets. Such an action would risk triggering a broader loss of trust in the dollar as the world's reserve currency, setting the stage for a major shift in the global economic landscape. We present the clips of Mario's latest video. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates. Thank you and enjoy the video.
I think there could be nuclear, and by nuclear I'm using a metaphor here, a nuclear card that China could use vis-a-vis gold, but also that the US could use vis-a-vis treasuries. And either of them would destroy the integrity of the US dollar and the whole fiat currency system that we have as a whole. Maybe that's the intention of the Trump administration. He did say some months ago that he wanted to obliterate the national debt. Well, how do you do that? Well, you destroy the currency. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's why China has been buying so much gold. And talking about gold right now, that's one of the cards, the nuclear cards that China has, is to reveal to the world how much gold it actually has. We've got an official figure of 2,290 tons, which is a joke. This is not me talking. It's analysts like Alistair McLeod, Ronan Manley, Dominic Frisby. Many other people have done a lot of research about how much gold, China produces a year. China is one of the biggest producers a year, and the fact that they never export any of the gold. And some estimates put China's gold reserves, be it from the central bank and state-owned entities, and this is not counting the public. They put the reserves at over 30,000 tons. So it's weird that as far as the U.S. goes and their reserves, there's always a doubt that there's a lot less and that it's not there. But with China, it's the other way around. So their nuclear card vis-a-vis this whole tariff war is coming out and saying, we've decided to tell the world that we have X amount of gold. It's not the 2,290 that the World Gold Council reports. And why would that be bad for the dollar? Well, because the anti-dollar is gold. And if your major economic competitor has 32,000 tons and there's doubt whether you have 8,000 tons, you can bet the dollar is going to get hammered. The price of gold will go through the roof. And that's how that's reflected. The collapse of the dollar is the move up in gold. That's the Chinese nuclear card. They could have used it maybe years ago. I think the Chinese are they're very good negotiators, contrary to maybe President Trump's belief that he's the top guy in terms of getting a deal. I think the Chinese are they've got a lot of experience over the millennia. That's the gold nuclear card. What about the U.S.? What nuclear card does it have that would actually be shooting itself in the foot? And when I listen to people like Peter Navarro that are advising the administration, I can see these people doing this, not realizing how much of a blunder it would be. Well, we don't really know exactly who's selling treasury in the last few days. It's only speculation that it could be the Chinese or even the Japanese to stem the strength of the yen, which doesn't help them. The Treasury and the administration and the Fed, they can see who's selling treasuries. And let's say it's China. Well, the U.S. could decide to freeze China's treasury portfolio or treasury reserves. It's actually held at the New York Fed. What that would do, it would stop China from being able to transact in those treasuries, so they wouldn't be able to sell to make the price go lower and yields go higher and hurt the United States. That's what they could do. But if the U.S. did that, though, the end of the dollar as a reliable store of value, as a reliable reserve, right? Because if you buy treasuries and then the United States can freeze them, that's no good. And that's why I think it would backfire. But I wouldn't put it past them to try to do that. So that's why I think, unfortunately for the United States,
as China positions itself to challenge the US dollar's dominance, its economic ties with the United States remain critical. In 2023, 15% of China's exports, valued at $501 billion, were directed to the US, representing a notable but relatively small portion, just 2.7% of China's $18 trillion GDP. While China's foreign reserves, including U.S. Treasury bonds, total around $760 billion, it has shown resilience in the face of financial pressure, as seen with Russia's ability to withstand the freezing of its $300 billion reserves. Moreover, China's extensive trade network provides a buffer, offering the possibility of finding new markets and mitigating any losses from reduced U.S. trade, though such adjustments would take time. Even with this resilience, many in the U.S. and Europe remain unaware of the growing risks to the global financial system. Renowned analyst Mario predicts a potential economic crisis akin to the Great Depression if the current global order collapses suddenly. Such a collapse would lead to widespread bankruptcies, with the U.S. Treasury potentially at the epicenter. This highlights the importance of holding tangible assets like gold and silver as a safeguard. With gold rising to $3,070 and silver climbing as well, more investors are turning to these assets. signaling a shift in how people are preparing for the uncertain economic future that may be on the horizon. Let's get back to the interview.
China holds all the cards, and some people might say, well, but China depends on the U.S. for all its exports. But I have had a look at some of the numbers. The United States is important for China's international trade. All the Chinese exports, 15% of them go to the United States. In terms of number, it's 501 billion as of 2023 that it exported to the U.S. And if you look at Chinese GDP, which is around 18 trillion, that equates to 2.7% of their GDP. And as I said, their reserves, treasury reserves, are around 760 billion. I mean, the Russians, who have a much smaller economy, they've been able to survive by having their 300 billion in reserves frozen. I'm sure the Chinese could too, and I'm sure the Chinese could survive if they didn't export 1 cent to the United States. You just have to look at the list of countries they export to. It's a huge list. I'm sure they could try to expand and find new markets, and I'm sure they would cover that 500 billion. It might take a year or two, a few years. That's how I see things right now. As I said, I think the public is totally asleep, not just in the United States, but here in Europe, to what's going on and how serious the situation is. Some people are talking about the possibility of a 1929, 1930s style crash and depression. That's possible. That's very possible, because if you destroy this global system that we've had since 1944 and since the beginning of the century with China and WTO, if you destroy it overnight, it's not gradual. It will mean loads of bankruptcy, and the top bankruptcy, of course, will be the U.S. Treasury. And that's another reason why you want to have physical gold and silver. And I mean, I can't emphasize how important that is to have some of that outside the system, because, it's not going to get better. And as I speak today, here, it's 8:22 a.m. London time. Gold is at 3,045, up $62. So maybe people are starting to wake up. I don't know. Maybe not. It's up 2%. We've got even silver coming up now. It's up 1.85% at 30.37. The stock market was down a lot more earlier on. Right now, it's kind of just lower by very little. But for example, the Dow future got down to 36,690. We're now at 37,550. So it was down like almost 1,000 points earlier. And I expect continued volatility.
Despite current market fluctuations, the long-term outlook remains supported by the trend of diversifying away from dollar-denominated assets. The People's Bank of China has continued to bolster its gold reserves, increasing its holdings for the 5th consecutive month. According to the World Gold Council, global central banks added 39 tons of gold in February alone, further signaling a collective move towards hard assets. This shift towards gold is part of a broader strategy by nations, especially China, to position themselves for greater financial autonomy. As China strengthens its gold reserves, the yuan stands to gain more credibility as a potential global reserve currency, challenging the US dollar's dominance in the process. This ongoing trend will likely reshape the global financial landscape, reinforcing the importance of tangible assets in a more decentralized economic future. That's it for today. Share your thoughts on Mario's analysis in the comment section below. If you find this video informative, don't forget to support and turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.